Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now over the years I've made quite a bit of content, and around or involved within some of that content there's generally been a pry bar, and I get a lot of comments from people asking, well, why would you need a pry bar? You've got a knife, you've got one of these, you've got one of this, you've got the other. Pry bars, I just don't understand them. So let's get some understanding of pry bars. Now, I've been thinking about making this content for a while, and it just so happened that Daily Carry Company got in touch and asked if I'd like to make some content with them. And I noticed on their website that they have these two, plus another one which is in my pocket somewhere, the three different types of pry bars, what I thought gave a really good example of the different types of pry bars that we have and how they can be used. And that's what we're going to have a look at today, specifically why you need a pry bar in your life. So let's turn the camera around and take a closer look. Okay, so here are my three pry bars of choice. All of these are made from a high-grade titanium, which means that they're incredibly light but also very strong. I picked these three specifically mainly because of the difference in shapes. So, first one that we have here is a small key-sized one, which will fit perfectly on a key ring. This one I thought it's just something, it's a little bit different. It's a lot wider than you find with a lot of them, but it has a nice thin flat kind of shape to it, so you can easily put this in your pocket like you can do with most pry bars. This pry bar is a type of pry bar that I like to refer to as like more of a utility pry bar, mainly because it's just got some extra features on here, like a pocket clip, like a bottle opener, and then at the end you've still got the end that you can do some prying, you can do some scraping with. Plus, if you did want to add a lanyard or anything like that to it, then you can do. The vast majority of things you can do with all three of these pry bars, and a lot of people say, well, what's the point of having a pry bar? The main reason is a lot of us carry one of these sharp implements. Now, a lot of us also, and let's admit, okay, I have done it from time to time, we've all used a knife for something that a knife is not designed for. What is a knife designed for? Cutting. But a lot of us will try and open a paint can, or we'll try and open this, we'll try and open that with a knife, and it's not what a knife is designed for. So carrying any of these, maybe that on your keys, maybe these just in your pocket together as a pair, you know, you're not taking up that much extra room with any of these items in your pocket, even with this one, for the fact that you're probably going to keep this on your car keys. So complementing a knife with any of these is the perfect setup. Now, for me, the main reason I started to carry a small pry bar or an EDC pry bar like this was because I worked in a warehouse and I specifically wasn't allowed to carry a knife. It was a pain in the bum, mainly because the safety knives that you gave them were about as useful as a wooden spoon, and I found that I'd picked up a pry bar from the internet and it could do 90% of the things that a knife could do. If I need to get into an Amazon box, you can easily do this with one of these. Hold it, push it in, scrape it along, and you'll be able to cut into an Amazon box, or any sort of box that has just your normal tape on there. You might find sometimes if they've got that tape that's got the little bits of string through it, so that they're not supposed to be cut easily, it takes a little bit more. You might need to do 2 passes, but again, if it is that you're in a situation where you can't carry a knife, one of these will definitely be able to do that job. In fact, I've seen so many people trying to open an Amazon package with their front door key or their car key or something like that, which potentially could snap, could damage that key. It could get dirt, it could get crap into your key mechanism, which would stop your key mechanism from working. So having something that's small and useful like this on your car keys, don't use your key to do it, grab this, score it along, and you'll be able to open that. Now, a pry tool essentially is a tool for prying. This is what these originally were used for by mechanics, by tradesmen, by so many different people. You can put it in, and as it pushes in, you'll be able to use some sort of leverage to get that off. The main thing that you can use these for is prying. If there's something that's stuck underneath something and you need to be able to get it up, it's great. What I have used these for in the past is additional things like, so I used to do a lot of slacklining, I used to do a lot of climbing. Every now and again, even the most careful climber gets a snag in a rope and you need to be able to, get your rope untied. You don't want to cut your rope, mainly because, rope's expensive. But being able to use a pry bar, if you can get it in underneath the rope, you can lift that up, you can work it out, it's great. Also, because a lot of pry bars have bottle openers on here, then you can get that in there to help to work some of that rope out as well. If it is that you like to do a little bit more kind of outdoorsy stuff, and maybe you've found that you've got some paracord or something, these two are probably the best for being able to get some paracord knots undone, unless they've been pulled ridiculously tight and it's just, I think with paracord, with it being so cheap, you might as well just buy some more paracord. But anyway, so there are some great uses. Being able to scrape things off as well if you've got something on something. Again, I've seen so many people that will go to their knife, they'll go to a house key, they'll go to whatever to be able to scrape something off. Whether it's a sticky label that's on something, no matter what it is, whether it's a little bit of paint that they need to get off. Again, that's something that might, 1, damage your knife, 2, might damage your key, or 3, might get something onto your key that will then damage your lock mechanism, and that's not going to be good. On the side of getting into things, this is some homemade jam that's been made for me by my grandma, and one of the first things that I taught my daughters is how to use a pry bar to be able to get into one of these. The reason that they can't unfasten it isn't because they're not strong enough to be able to turn it, which I mean it kind of is right, but it's because there's an air seal in here. All you need is a small pry bar like this to put it under, and you'll be able to hear this air seal. Hear that then? Now, with very little effort, I can open this, but it will still mean that I can still close this, and it will be able to keep that air seal. Tiny, wee little pry bar like this, I could have used it with some of the larger ones, but just a simple kind of little tool like this. Yes, you could do it with a house key, but you might damage your house key, whereas one of these isn't going to get damaged. Now, how about a bottle of beer? Both of these, this one has a dedicated bottle opener on here. This one's shaped more like a bar blade, so you can put this on here and you can lever this off. But I want to show you how you can get into a bottle of beer without having to use a dedicated beer opening section on here, and it's super simple. Again, it just comes down to leverage. You hold the neck as tightly as you can, close to where the top is. You put this in at an angle so that it fits underneath the lid of the cap, and then you lift it up, and your beer bottle's now open. Remember to drink responsibly, folks. Again, I've seen people at parties doing it with the teeth, which makes my pubes stand on end watching them do it. Or I've seen people using house keys again to get into beer bottles, and again you just push it under and then lift it up. Make sure you keep a tight grip on there, because you don't want your thumb to go down whilst you're doing it, and it will just pop it off yet again. There's so many uses for pry bars, and the main one really comes down to the reason that you all know, and that is stop using your knife for the skanky stuff that knives aren't designed to do. Carry something that will complement your knife, and that's what a pry bar is meant to do. A lot of people go, I just don't understand how I'd use it, or why I'd use it, or X, Y, and Z. My best advice is pick one up. They're not particularly expensive, they really aren't. Pick one up, carry it, complement your knife. When you're starting to do something with a knife that you think, this is a bit sketchy, put your knife back in your pocket and use your pry bar. Again, there's so many different things that you can use with this. Really, you're kind of only limited by your own imagination of what you can use this to. Yes, it's never going to be as sharp as a knife, and that's another great point. There's probably one that I didn't mention before, and that is in a situation where, I don't know, a lot of the snowflakes that are out there nowadays, ooh, it's a knife, somebody's gonna do something terrible with a knife. Well, if you pull out one of these, it doesn't look like a knife, it's not sharp. You can't do any, I mean you could, but you're not really supposed to do any damage to a person with these. They're less snowflake worries than most knives are. If you pull out one of these and you try to do something instead, then you'll get less people kind of getting a bit squirmy and getting a bit butthurt that you pulled out a knife whilst you're at work. Most places that are like, no knives, certainly don't mind if you carry one of these. Oh, another thing you used to do with these, you know, you get those kind of straps that you get around boxes that are a pain in the arse and you have to cut them with a knife. Well, if you find where the joint is with them and just slide that underneath there, it will perfectly open those straps as well. But yes, okay, now what I'd like to do is I'm going to open this up to the forum in the comments here, because I mean I've covered just the surface of things that you can do with pry bars over doing them with, you're not supposed to be using a knife for this. I'd like to hear in the comments below what are the sort of things that you use your pry bars for, so that if anybody is watching this and you're still not sold on why it's so important and so useful to keep a pry bar in your pocket, then they can come down into the comments and they can see a lot of other people commenting exactly how they've used theirs as well. Maybe if you've got a specific industry that you're in, if you put that there as well, you know, I work in trucking and I use my pry bar for X, then there'll be other people that have easily relatable situations that they can also think of that go, oh, actually, yeah, I could probably use that for this too. So yes, now I want to also say a huge thank you to Daily Carry Company for reaching out. These pry bars are awesome. I have been switching between these. I had to take this off my key, but these are great. So I'll leave some links for Daily Carry Customs, Daily Carry Company in the link below. Sorry, I got the name wrong at the end there. Daily Carry Co. in the links below, so that you can see more from them and you can see where you can pick these up. I'll also leave some of my social media links as well, so you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC and also my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. But for now, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. Was that the cricket music? I think it was the cricket music. Weirdly, I've got Ski Sunday in my head, but I think that was completely different, wasn't it? How did Ski Sunday go? Let's hear that in the comments. My wife knows. She's not there. Anyway, where was I? With my piece of content. And I get a lot of comments of people like, pry bars, what sort of weirdo would carry a pry bar? Or, I mean, that's what I imagine the comments are when, oh, you Isaac. What are those things called? Are they called bar blades? I'm sure they're called bar blades. This was like a bar blade, isn't it? Where you just kind of, and your bottle top comes off. Can you do it with? I'm sure I can do it. There you go. Say these are ever so slightly similar, and I suppose they're all similar in a way. No, why are you being an idiot? Because you are an idiot. That's not nice. Shut up. Go on with your job, idiot. I mean, I might as well finish it. Now, where were we? Happy New Year's Eve, by the way, folks. This is coming out today, which is New Year's Eve. I hope you're all having a great New Year's Eve. Clearly, I've started drinking for it already because the sun is officially past the yard arm. Well, let's just pretend that it is. But anyway, yes, I hope you all have a great Christmas Eve. I hope you all have a great New Year's Eve, that you get to share it with friends and family. And yes, don't forget to drink responsibly. I mean, I forget most years, but yeah. So hey, happy New Year's Eve, folks. I'll see you next year.